Welcome to CHGO Stars. I'm Alex Campbell, and boy, are things not going well in Bridgeview. The team just keeps losing on and off the field. The GM is spouting absolute nonsense. Oh, and Alyssa Naeher might be hurt. Ooh, buddy. This is CHGO Stars, presented by Sunnyside. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. I'm Alex Campbell. Thanks for joining us live on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and we have a lot to get through today. Most of it's not fun. It is what it is. I'm thrilled again to be joined by Lesley Ryder of Gal Pal Sports. You can also see her work at Defector and at Equalizer Soccer. Lesley, thanks again for taking the time to come back on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's ungreat circumstances, but here we are.
Yes, choosing to willingly spend the next 30 to 45 minutes talking about this team is a sacrifice. We're going to do news first, soccer later. And we do have to actually start with, it's great that we have you here, Lesley, because a couple weeks ago, you had the chance to interview Richard Feusz, the general manager of the Stars, who ironically, according to your story shortly in your conversation, said, please tell me when to stop talking, which of course you didn't do because that's your job, is to just let him keep saying things. And oh boy, did he. I'm just going to pick out a couple quotes here that these also got some good internet traction, particularly on the WOSO Circles of Blue Sky. Quote, is the team worse than last season? No. In the numbers from Opta from Soccer Donna, the team value is better this season. No. And what? That's not that many words, and there is so much going on there. Yes, the team is worse than last season. You have fewer players, including not your best one. Also, citing Soccer Donna for team market values is like, it's silly for MLS to cite Forbes market values for like league growth and stuff, but like at least Forbes can show their work and has like a long track record of like across
Forbes
sports.
Goes here.
it's so like, I don't know, any follow-up from you on that? Because that was just like for that to be the top line, that's where we're starting. It's like, oh dear.
Yeah. There was definitely a very high opinion of some statistics that perhaps were not meshing with what was happening on the field. I mean, my wife works for Sports Reference, so she can dig into numbers pretty easily. And she pulled up some stats to compare between this season and last season. And pretty much every category, the statistics were worse for this season than the season before. So I'm not quite sure what he's working with there, but I'm just I'm like a month removed from that conversation, and I'm still scratching my head over a lot of things.
I was actually going to wait to show this graphic until later to the YouTube audience, but since you mentioned it, we're going to pull it up now. This is a ranking of the Stars currently across NWSL, and it's hard to be worse than last. Last in points, tied last in wins. They're tied with Utah, whose one win is against, you guessed it, the Stars. Goals for last, goals against last. XG and XG against, this is coming from FB Ref, so another Emily Anderson shout out indirectly coming here. So the Stars XG, according to FB Ref, is 9.1. They have scored 6. That's not good. Their XG against is 15.4, and they have conceded 22. That's really bad. That is a 50% overperformance, or I think we should say underperformance, on goals against versus XG against. Oh, and they're also dead last in attendance. Of more than 2,000 fewer people show up to watch Stars games than anybody else. And I believe the second to last is North Carolina, who play in a glorified park in Cary, North Carolina. So that kind of doesn't even count. Yeah, so it's not good. Let's just throw another haymaker here. Quote, I know with the full roster on their contract here that it's clear we're in the playoffs. That's crystal clear. I believe it. I think that's mostly just saying a lot about how good you think Mallory Swanson is, which, fair. I get it. Man, whatever. Because then it comes to this next one. Quote, we are the only team in the last 15 months who hasn't spent a dime on the transfer market. Why is that something you are bragging about?
Yeah, that was one that when he said it on the time at the time, I think the initial reaction was just, is that a good thing? And yeah, you look at the teams who are doing well right now, those top 3-4 teams, Kansas City, Gotham, Orlando, like these were teams that were at the bottom of the league not so long ago. And what did they do? They invested, they spent money, they went to the transfer market, they scouted the globe to find the best talent for their team. And look where they are now. And right now, the Stars seem a bit content to not like it doesn't even count as Moneyball. Like they're not recreating anyone on aggregate right now. It's baffling. It's baffling decisions are being made, and with very little clarity around it.
Yeah, you talk about those top teams spending money. Kansas City went and bought a whole other soccer team this morning. They went and bought HB Koja in Denmark. I definitely butchered the pronunciation of that. But yeah, I mean, whether it's Kansas City being big in the free agency market, building their own stadium, Orlando spending money to get Barbara Banda, and we also have to assume spending a lot on lawyer fees to get her to the NWSL and through immigration and out of China and everything else, and, putting in the work that must have taken, and, keeping Marta happy and everything else. I mean, you talk about the spirit and Michelle Kang just throwing bags of money globally at things. And then also when you asked him if he thought Lorne Donaldson was set up for success this year, he said yes. Quote, we know that we had a lot of absences at the beginning of the season. Obviously, that will never be an excuse. Lesley, I don't know about you, if there was ever an excuse to, ever a reason to use a player absence as an excuse. It's your best player, your leading goal scorer, and one of the top 5 forwards in the world being gone for the season. And to say, yes, everything without her is fine. I mean, I that's a put you in a tough spot. Did he say all this like a guy who believes it, or like a guy who was kind of trying to protect his own job?
I mean, I gotta say, he spoke like a true believer. Like I believe from my conversations with him, like in the off season, preseason, this conversation, I think he truly believes in what he's saying. And it's like, I'm not even sure what to do with that information.
Right.
It's just like it makes me ask questions of higher up in the Stars office. Cause I mean, when I talked to Karen Lito, her response was very, we trust Richard with what he's doing, and we kind of leave it all in his hands. So yeah, I desperately want there to be some sort of soccer adult in the room to say, hey, this isn't working. We're trying something. It's not working.
Yeah, I mean, the phrase, the buck stops somewhere else, or in this case, the Bucks stop nowhere, because there don't appear to be any Bucks. And then
the Bucks stopped with Lorne Donaldson, apparently, when they fired him.
And goodbye. Quote, I truly believe in this roster. Ooh, man, I don't think a whole lot of people share that feeling. Okay, next news item. But again, if you haven't read Lesley's work at Equalizer, please go do that after you listen to this podcast. Happy news. Mallory Swanson is pregnant. Congratulations to her and to Dansby. That is great news.
Totally
Great news, happy news. This was a total communications disaster. The vibes were quite bad. Again, this was, I think we were all preparing for the worst when we got news, which is why this was such a relief. But again, good for Mal and Dansby. Happy for them. But also, thank goodness this weird situation is over, because the way it had been allowed to fester was just pretty inexcusable.
Yeah, it was something that because it's like when you're deciding to go on this journey and have a baby, there's a lot that can go wrong. There are so many things that could go wrong. So I can understand from Mallory's perspective just not wanting to share that 100%. Or even to just, it's like it does take a lot of vulnerability to be like, hey, I'm not reporting to camp, I'm trying to have a baby, I'm doing something and it is important to me, and that is something that she is well within her rights and her power to do.
Right.
I don't really know if you can like assign blame or anything, but I do think the lack of communication, the lack of transparency kind of set people down this path of like, okay, she hasn't announced a pregnancy when all of these other players are saying that's what's going on with them. So I do think there was this thought of like, oh my God, it's awful news, and she's just waiting until it's her time. And she'll share whenever she feels like it. And of course that's not the case, which is this huge sigh of relief from the community is like, oh my God, she's okay. Thank God.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like,
because to your point, no, I mean, obviously Mal, Dansby, anybody in that situation is entitled to the utmost privacy. But for the team to go from, she'll be back eventually to, could be any week to...
Yeah, the week to week was
clearly
a bit of an overhaul there.
Either nobody inside the organization knew what was going on, or multiple people told different lies that didn't line up with each other. And, I mean, at one point we went 6 weeks without hearing from Lorne Donaldson talk about anything, let alone, hey, your star player face of the team has been gone for a month and a half and no one's acting, and everyone's like pretending it's not happening. It was the entire thing was very strange. Again, huge sigh of relief. Good for Mal. Mal, we will see you next year. And again, she's, to your point, on the also Sophia Wilson path that is have baby now. Give yourself like year and a half pre-World Cup to get back to full speed. Makes a lot of sense. See also Alex Morgan, who kind of wrote the book on how you time this out to then make sure you are World Cup ready. Last big news item, the Stars are going to play Orlando City at Northwestern in September. They're going to play at, I believe it's Northwestern Medicine Field at Martin Stadium is the full correct name of whatever this establishment is. It is, for those unfamiliar, formerly, or still actually, the home of Northwestern men's and women's soccer. It is currently the temporary home of the Northwestern football team while Ryan Field is rebuilt. Kind of funnily, it looks more like a soccer stadium than it does a football stadium, because for anybody who's watched Welcome to Wrexham, that fake stand they built in that show is basically what's on the north end of the stadium. The exact same thing, 3,000 to 5,000 seats of just bleachers. And on the south end is a thing that looks like it's the side of a random English soccer stadium. It is, just the bleachers with the overhang, and it's kind of funny how soccer-y it looks. Is a turf field. It's an interesting date to do this. It probably helps the Fire out a bit with some scheduling things. And it also, of course, Lesley raises the question, where is this team playing next year? Because this certainly seems like, if you have a list of bad options, this is maybe one of the better bad options.
Yeah, I guess. I think it's moving to a turf field is going to be a choice. There's also just a lot of tenants to that field in the springtime. You've got rugby, you've got ultimate frisbee, you've got all sorts of lacrosse also plays there. So, I mean, you're going from one stadium where you do have some scheduling issues to another stadium where you're going to have schedule issues. So it just kind of feels like a net, um, not much of a net gain, I would say.
Yeah, and again, for those unfamiliar, we do have to check back in on this occasionally. There has been no announced update to the lease at SeatGeek Stadium. The Fire are the leaseholders, and they are out as of December 31st of this year. So we would assume that the Stars and the Hounds, the rugby team that also plays at SeatGeek, are in active conversations, you would imagine, with Bridgeview of how this is going to work going forward, because I would assume both teams want to, at least for now, continue to play there. The Fire have still had their second team playing there. Looks like they're headed for UIC as their future home for those games. Conveniently is located literally next door to the Fire's headquarters and training center on the southwest side of the city. So this is going to be an increasingly interesting story to watch as the year goes on, because the longer this goes on, without any update, the more the questions are going to build. All right, Lesley, let's talk about some soccer, having gotten all of that funness out of the way. Lots going on the field in the last month, too, and, well, we'll make our way through it. Stars 0, Gotham 0. First game after Lorne Donaldson was dismissed, with Masa Hemi in interim charge. He named the same lineup as the two previous games, which, okay, I guess not that weird, but more on that later. This is a game they probably should have lost. They did almost get gifted a phantom PK in the first half for a foul that just absolutely never happened, and then VAR overturned it. They had one shot on goal in the entire match, which was a 30-yard run and then nice strike by Jamise Joseph that produced a great save from Ann-Katrin Berger. Maybe the most notable thing in this game was that Gotham subbed on an 8th grader into a competitive match. She actually almost scored the game winner in stoppage time. I don't know about child labor laws in New Jersey, but that feels a little questionable. Overall, though, at the time, going on the road, first game after a coach got fired, getting a result, that felt like a good result at the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always a positive when you go into this game with a new manager and you get a result that you were not able to get in the matches previously. So I think that was a match of like, okay, this is a team that can hang on if they have to. And we learned pretty quickly that that would not be the case further on in the season. But yeah, I mean, I think it was one of the best case scenarios aside from like winning that match.
Well, right. And again, it's, if that PK had somehow stood in the first half, it would have been a nice, like, kind of olive branch situation of like, okay, you guys need a break. So again, it's like, okay, can they build on that? Well, we got the most fun game the Red Stars have played this season. Stars, money in the proverbial swear jar. Stars 2, Spirit 3, back home at SeatGeek. This game was bananas. The people who tuned in on ESPN, national TV game, Stars don't get many of those. They got a good show, if nothing else. The Stars named the exact same lineup again. Ali Schlegel scored an own goal in the 31st minute. That was just kind of a bad luck situation. You don't really expect Schlegel to be the sort of player back defending, but it was, the play following the clearance of a corner. She just sticks her foot out trying to clear the ball, puts it past Naeher, 1-0 for the Spirit. Julia Grosso, though, a few minutes later, gets her first goal for the team. Just, again, get Julia Grosso the ball more. Good things will probably happen. When we think back to last year, Lesley, so much of the Stars' success when they had it was Mal Swanson just doing individual amazing things, and that was how they got by. This is the kind of goal that the Stars need if they're going to get by, because this is just Grosso solo effort, purely willing this ball into the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, this was their first multi-goal game since Ludmila's game against Bay FC, so there was like a little bit of hope there of like, okay, so they can score goals, but it is something that's been lacking this season, is that one player who is going to pick up the ball and put it in the back of the net. Like, that is just something they don't have this season, and it's crushing them.
Yeah. Washington retook the lead shortly thereafter. Kouassi with a free header because nobody marked anybody or closed down the delivery. This was a problem on both of these first two goals, is the Stars just kind of watched somebody line up across and put it on a plate, and it ends up in the back of the net. Speaking of just efforting a goal home and the Stars finally getting a break in their favor, Sam Staub scores in the 54th minute via an Aubrey Kingsbury howler. Basically, a ball is fairly slowly coming across the 6-yard box towards Kingsbury. It just goes right through her hands. Sam Staub happens to be there. She taps it in to the back of the net. This was also just Staub. This was not on a set piece. This was Sam went into F it, I'll do it myself mode. Like, this was just a normal sequence of play, and Sam just decides, screw it, I'm 40 yards from goal. I'm just going to run, which very relatable under the circumstances. Then Maitane almost gives the Stars the lead in the 77th minute. Would have been fitting for number 77 to score there. Julie Grosso should score in the 79th. Kingsbury makes up for the howler on the second goal by keeping her out. And then, because, of course, the Spirit just get a comical winner in the 83rd minute. Grosso is trying to stop Kouassi. Kouassi does the soccer version of a stiff arm, and just Grosso ends up on her back. Then Sam Staub, of all people, gets outworked by Hall of Fame World Soccer name, Gift Monday. Naeher is slow to react. It's another loss, and just all that effort and just nothing.
Yeah, and it was also just another case of the Stars not being able to put 90 minutes together. It's hurt them a lot this season.
Yeah, also should note that Gift Monday on the back of her shirt wears Monday G, which is just, I feel like, just an even better way to take advantage of having a very cool name.
It's the best day of the week when you're Gift Monday.
Yes. Next up, got two more games to get through. And this next one was probably the Stars' best chance to get a win in this sequence. Stars 0, North Carolina 2. So for the first time in 5 weeks at this point, the Stars made a lineup change. It was benching Jamise Joseph, who's arguably been their best player. When you saw that lineup, Lesley, what did you think? Because, I mean, I think we both would agree on a lot of things we would like to see the Stars do to maybe give themselves a better chance. Benching Jamise Joseph is not on that list.
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone who's been watching the Stars games this season could tell you that Jamise Joseph has been their most promising player on the attack, and to start with her on the bench and not bring her in for quite some time, it felt very much like the team got what they deserved at the end of that match.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess this is a place to start, just to mention, the Stars had been sticking with what we'll call a 4-4-2 with Ludmila and Schlegel up top. Grosso out of position in a different way this season than last season, playing as a right winger, or a left winger in some games, left-footed. Jamise Joseph playing off the right. In this game, Shea Groom replaces Joseph. She goes to the left. Grosso over to the right. It's been Maitane and B. Franklin in defensive midfield, and it has been Cam Biegalski, Kerry Caro, Sam Staub, and Taylor Malum across the back. And it's shocking that was the first change that got made. In this game, the team then had no actual wingers on the pitch. And one of your center forwards is more of a midfielder in Schlegel in some ways. So, and it's not like Malum and Biegalski are attacking Dynamos at fullback, so I'm not sure where they thought the goals in this game were going to come from. Takes a while for anything interesting to really happen here. Manaka finally gives the Courage the lead. There's just space everywhere. Like, you look at this goal in particular, but throughout the game, this is a team in, the Stars that basically have 6 players on the field who are fully committed to defense. It's that back four and it's that defensive midfield pairing. And they are still so easy to play through, which I think makes it even more maddening that they continue to play all these defensive players if those players aren't even going to play good defense.
Yeah, I mean, it was very much the mentality last season was that this is a defense first team. That narrative has kind of changed this season. They have the defensive players, but they're trying to do this like fullback thing where you have Cam Biegalski going up, you have Taylor Mullen going up, you have Sam Staub going up. It does seem like they're just kind of throwing spaghetti at a wall, trying to figure out how to score goals with the personnel that they have. And I don't know if I can say it's working for them.
Yeah, and then, when it rains, it pours, because the Stars, they should have had a penalty in this game, just straight up, stone cold. Casey Murphy fouls Ludmila. Like, this is not a controversial one at all. And then it gets overturned somehow with VAR. And I say a lot, like, when I watch soccer in Europe, that it's shocking, like, how these people don't seem to understand how replay works, and that, like, I praise MLS actually does a really good job, because MLS is one of the seemingly only soccer leagues in the world that knows how to quickly and efficiently use video review. Given that MLS is pretty good at it and, like, uses it pretty well, it is shocking, given that it's the same pool of people getting pulled from, that the NWSL is so bad at it. Reviews take forever for no good reason. There's another one we're going to get to here in a minute. I don't how are they so bad at this? How is this a call that gets overturned?
It's one of those things that, like, I mean, my wife and I talk about it a lot, where it's just like, why are they taking so long to decide if the referee needs to go see it? And why is the referee taking 5 minutes to go to the screen? There are just a lot of things that could be streamlined in the process.
Yeah, so I mean, this was bad. So you know, if the Stars get a penalty, are they going to score it? I don't know, but you got to at least get the shot. Jamise Joseph, you mentioned she did not. We talked about she did not start. She does come on eventually. She scores. It's called offside on the field. And then we get a great example of why having broadcasters hundreds or thousands of miles away can be a problem, because the only conclusion we can draw is that Joseph must have been offside earlier in the sequence, because when they show the replay of her getting the ball, she's onside by like 5 yards, and this doesn't even get reviewed to VAR at all. So that's just an example of maybe nothing went wrong, but if you're watching at home, you just think the Red Stars got robbed again. Or Stars, geez, that's 2 in a show today. It's that kind of day. But again, so should it have been a goal? I don't know, but it speaks to the, hey, look, the player you benched came on and immediately produced more attack than the rest of the team combined had in the previous, 75 odd minutes.
Yeah, I mean, as the great Sandra Herrera has said on Blue Sky, when you're the last place team, you just don't get those benefit of the doubt calls, and it's unfortunate. It feels like you're kicking them when they're down, but it's just the way it is when you're that last place team who can't score on just a regular day.
Yeah, Manaka then makes it a brace for herself. She scores, makes it 2-0 late. That's how it ends. The Courage aren't very good. They should be a lot more fun than they are. I kind of don't understand how a 3-4-3 system with Ashley Sanchez and Jaden Shaw as inside forwards doesn't work. That should just kind of be very plug and play and just like let them do stuff. They've got the fullbacks to provide the width, but for whatever reason, it has been, the kind of multi-year honeymoon period for Sean Nahas and Carey has worn off. And I mean, he's a good coach. I think a lot of people are confident they'll figure it out, but that team's an interesting study right now. They should be a lot better than they are, and they get the benefit of playing the Stars and, getting what amounts to kind of a free win. All right, and we might spend a bit more time here. Stars won, Kansas City 3 in their most recent game. This was never going to go well, was it? I mean, Kansas City coming into town, they're a juggernaut. The Vanessa DiBernardo, Kayla Sharples eternal revenge game, which did come up in this one. This is. And the fact that the Stars, as we'll explain, have a 1 next to their name at the end of this game is thanks to their efforts, almost not at all.
Yeah, this is definitely one that when you looked at it on the calendar, it's just like, all right, we're all going to put on our brave face and we're going to get through it together. I think it took a minute for Kansas City to get settled in, but there was definitely a moment in the first half where you could see the tide turn, and that first goal was inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, as we'll get to, it felt inevitable. The Stars took 2 shots. One of them was the goal that was really impressive. And the other was, I believe, Sam Staub just taking a pot shot from range and kicking it into somebody's shins. That was it. As somebody highlighted for us at the start of the show, Opta officially lists that the Red Stars generated 0.07 expected goals in this match. Yes, for those of you scoring at home, that means that the Stars would have had to play 12 games like this for it to be expected that they would score at all. Jamise Joseph gets her starting lineup spot back. Good. The other change, though, I mean, we've been asking for lineup changes. Shea Groom, left wing back, is not what we were asking for. And unsurprisingly, Kansas City just saw it as one giant green light pressing trigger to just go down the right side again and again and again.
Yeah, I mean, and Shea had mentioned it after the game. I mean, obviously she was super happy to score the goal, but part of that challenge was like she's playing out of her regular position, and I think we've been seeing a lot of that from the Stars, and they kind of got into this situation because of a lack of depth. I mean, they didn't have Cam Biegalski today, and they don't really have someone they can put in her place who is like a similar player. And this is just kind of a mess of their own making. And that's been their story all season. So why would it stop now?
Because the other thing to note here is basically what you ended up with in possession was a back 4, because Taylor Mallam was on the right side now instead of the left. Sam Staub in possession was essentially playing left back. And then for the first time in ages, we see Hannah Anderson, she of the 3-year contract extension in the offseason. Anderson, this is her first start since March. She was one of the team's few bright spots this season. I think a lot of us disagreed with her getting benched at the time earlier this year. She has played just 46 minutes since that last start going into this game. I mean, do you have any idea what's going on here? And are somehow the Stars the people who work on the sporting side of the Stars the only people around the league who don't think that Hannah Anderson is the second best healthy center back currently on this Stars roster?
It's definitely something that's baffling. Like last season, it seemed pretty clear that they were aiming for a Staub and Anderson center back pairing. So I don't know if it's because of this like new style that they're trying to play, that their whatever numbers they value and hold dear are telling them, no, let's bring Carrie Riccaro back from the midfield to play center back instead. So I'm someone who enjoys watching Carrie Riccaro play center back, but I don't know that anyone in the front office would have made this decision a year ago. So I'm just a bit confused by it.
Yeah, Riccaro, I mean, she's a tenacious player. She's a physical player. She gets stuck in, and I think, again, being at center back for her is better than when she was in defensive midfield. But again, when you traded her out for an equally, if not more, defensive skill set in a Montane or a B. Franklin, I don't know if there was a net gain there. And yeah, for Anderson, as the team is struggling to just be stuck on the bench, when, last year she was kind of thrown into the fire. It was like, hey, rookie, this isn't really fair to you, but it's where we're at, and so it's what we're going to do. You look at other potential options for the defense. Jenna Bike subs back in this game later. I think, the idea at the start of the year seemed to be Jenna Bike was going to maybe be an attacking right back of sorts. And you could play an Anderson, Staub, Kuika back 3 in possession, and that made a lot of sense to people. Bike gets hurt, Kuika gets hurt, that all gets thrown out the window. Lorne Donaldson isn't here anymore, so we'll see if that is still a thing they might want to try. Anyway, it was different, shall we say, for the Stars. It wasn't better. That first goal for Bia Zanerato, deflects off of Carrie Caro. Wasn't her fault. Nothing Alyssa Naeher could do. And then they almost get a second immediately because the Stars just cannot clear the ball. Chewinga eventually gets it into the back of the net. I mean, over and over again, we watch the Stars turn the ball over in their own defensive third. I mentioned earlier, Lesley, the idea that the Stars, they just kind of have this dedicated back six of defense. And when they're trying to pass out, they're asking Maitane and B. Franklin to pass through a press. That's just not their skill set. Kansas City's a very good pressing team. It's a match made in hell, really, from a Stars perspective. And it's frustrating and maybe unfair that they keep trying to play out this way because it was just never going to work.
Yeah, I mean, like their midfield has been an issue for a while now. Their ball progression has been an issue for a while now, and it's just going to continue to be in this hellish place until they decide to either spend money on players or overhaul their tactics. And I don't know that I see them doing either one.
Yeah, it's again, I've seen a couple people make the point. It's like, do you really need that much defense on the field? Like, I did not like Julia Grosso as a 6, but could you do a situation where you keep one of Franklin and Maitane and you play, say, Groom and Grosso as 8s, with Groom being the more aggressive? Can you get, as we'll talk about in a bit, with the variety of players who just don't play, can Michaela Johnson get some more minutes? Somehow her minutes since Lorne's firing have gone down, which I didn't think was a path we could have possibly be heading towards, given how bright she looked early in the season. Shea Groom, as you mentioned earlier, does get her first goal in almost 3 years. This was a big moment for her. You could tell she was pretty emotional, kind of tearing up a bit, like happy tears, but like a lot of emotion on the field. Again, this is a player who was, a star of the league, knocking on the door as kind of a late bloomer of the national team, and then blows her knee out, misses a chunk of soccer, comes back last year and clearly isn't quite the same player. And, only maybe now physically feels all the way back. Again, we're talking 2+ years since this injury. So her first goal in 3 years, again, not sure why she was playing left wing back, but great for Shea and great for her to have that moment. And, again, it's been a tough season for the Stars. So I think you've got to kind of bottle up that little sequence and hold that for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely took that little lightning in a bottle and gave it a big hug, because Shea Groom's she's been in a struggle place on the Stars. It took her a while to get back in the starting 11. It's taken her a really long time to get back on the score sheet. And for her after the game, she just mentioned that it was something she needed for her confidence, just to know that it's something that she could do again.
Again, I like this comment from Fog627 in the chat. Again, we're going to get into this in a few minutes, but the Stars are actively extending MJ23's career by not playing her. Yeah, that's the other thing. You've got a player named MJ who wears 23. It's like, come on, the vibes are at least good, right? KC gets their third goal via just a slam dunk of a header from Naperville native Kayla Sharples, because of course, there you go. She heads home on a set piece. I do have to mention that the reason Kayla Sharples was onside and the reason that several other Kansas City players were onside is because Shea Groom was about 5 yards behind where the rest of the line was as they stepped up. These are the perils of playing an attacking midfielder at wingback. But the moment, unfortunately, from this game that is looming the largest right now in the aftermath, this comes in the 84th minute. Naeher gets injured by a shot from Temwa Chewinga. Looks like her hand and her wrist get jammed into each other. First of all, you don't often see a shot that's so hard that it injures someone, and Chewinga is about 10 yards out when she hits this and just rips it. Naeher doesn't have a good amount of time to react. She ends up getting subbed out, and this is the ultimate when it rains, it pours. If Alyssa Naeher is going to be out for any significant amount of time, it's like the one way things could get measurably worse for the team.
Yeah, it's that shot definitely had a sound to it when it went off of Alyssa Naeher, and she was trying her darndest to not come off. She like refused the training staff when it happened, and like you could tell it was bothering her. You could see her just kind of trying to shake it off, and it just wasn't happening. And Alyssa Naeher is not someone to malinger or just take up time like that. And to see her go down with like a minute left in the game was a bit unsettling, probably unsettling for Chicago fans, because it is just not something you see. Straight down the tunnel. Vibes were bad. They got worse.
Yeah, and Haley Makovitz gets her Stars debut, her NWSL debut, because she's on the bench due to other injuries, and probably was not expecting to come in this game and to make her debut. But right now, it's a situation where the Stars, ahead of their next game, might have to make an emergency signing and get a fourth goalkeeper on the roster. Certainly, at this point, looks like Makovitz is going to start in the Stars' next game, and that is, again, it's cool for her, but it's just a really tough moment for this team. Again, Again, it's like, oh, can things get any worse? It's like, oh, yeah, well, your legendary former great USWNT goalkeeper, who's also your team captain and feels at times like the only thing holding anything together. Oh, yeah, she got hurt. And so, yeah, that's just a total gut punch. So we've alluded to this a bit. We've got a graphic for the people watching on YouTube of players who just aren't playing. And again, you would think on a bad team, you would rotate, you would try things, and no, that just hasn't happened. The first one I've got is Hannah Anderson, who we've talked about a bit. She's played 7 games, but only 361 minutes. For those of you at home, yes, that does mean that it was 271 minutes in 6 games before this weekend. Mentioned Michaela Johnson. She's made 9 appearances, the 17-year-old, but she has played just 109 minutes. Nadia Gomes, I think a lot of people are confused why her contract was extended. She's played 102 minutes, but I mean, she's an attacking piece you can give a shot. Leilani Nesbitt, maybe the most confusing one here, although I think we're going to talk more about Johnson than anyone. Nesbitt has made just 4 appearances for 56 minutes this year. She was injured the first couple of games of the season, but has been fit for a while and just doesn't play. Chardonnay Curran, 4 games for a total of 49 minutes. And then Ava Cook went through a year of ACL recovery, only to have played 20 whole minutes at this point in the season on a team that can't score goals, and she is arguably the only recognized center forward on the roster. I guess, Lesley, I'll flip this to you. Of these names, which one of these is the most galling, do you think, of like, what are the Stars doing?
I think there's one on there who actually didn't make the list, Mana Hayashi, who has played
Yes.
like 30 minutes maybe in this whole time. And I mean, from my understanding, they were still trying to get her to catch up to the game here. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a matter of, maybe she's just not quite ready yet. But I'm surprised that Michaela Johnson is not getting more minutes. It certainly seems in the times that we do see her that she's got some handle on what she's supposed to be doing. And at this point of the season, I would say, why not for a lot of these players? I mean, Ava Cook is back. She's back to full fitness. And it's like they're not even trying to build those minutes up for her. So yeah, it's just, you add it to the long list of questions for this club. There are many of them.
Yeah, I think to stick with Johnson, I think the thing that's really frustrating is you watch. She's a starter for the U17 national team. She
Wasn't called in for this camp, interestingly enough.
Yeah, this camp was
upcoming.
weird. There's a couple players who didn't get named, so we'll see if that's something or nothing. But the number of her international teammates who are playing big minutes,
Yeah.
maybe not full 90s, but playing big minutes for much, much better teams. I mean, again, you've got Claire Hutton, who's, I think, her age or maybe a little younger, who's on the senior national team, starting every game in Kansas City. San Diego is playing, starting 3 children these days, including Trinity Armstrong, who's another U17 who seems to just be a Naomi Girma clone, which isn't fair at all. They've got Mel Barcenas as well, who's 16, I think, still in playing all these minutes. And I'm forgetting her name at the moment. They have stumbled upon a new 17-year-old center forward who has 3 goals in 5 games. Chloe Ricketts in Washington. Again, there are all these players who Michaela Johnson has played with at youth national team level who, she belongs on that tier. She is as good as these players, and she can't get a look on a bad team. It really, I don't get it, because at least she tries stuff. Like, again, is she young? Is she raw? Absolutely. But she's clearly very talented. She's clearly thought very highly of. And, again, we don't know why she wasn't called into this latest camp, but you hope the reason isn't because she's not playing club soccer when almost all of her high-profile teammates are getting a lot of week-in, week-out minutes.
Yeah, and I am very much a proponent of take care of your young players, make sure they don't do too much too fast. But it feels like the Stars are almost overcorrecting on it, where it's just don't put her in at all, and that will help her development. So yeah, I think there is a happier medium than what they're trying right now with giving her garbage time minutes in the last 5 to 10 of a match. So yeah, Michaela Johnson is one that I have questions about. Leilani Nesbitt is one that I feel like
what happened there?
We haven't really seen enough of her this season to be able to gauge what's gone wrong. I think when she's on the pitch, she does a really good job of marking her players and being where she needs to be. She's not the fastest player on the pitch, but I think she still has an ability to contribute, and she can be in those positions on the pitch where you don't have to be the fast guy.
Right. I mean, she gives a little more bite to the midfield. Is she a bit of a walking yellow card? Yes. But again,
every team needs one.
Right. And again, this to bring it back full circle, you talking to Richard Feusz, or thinking from his perspective, you made this player a first-round draft pick. You liked her. This was the player who you traded. This is after the Sam Staub trade. You traded down in the top 10. You got Sam Staub from Washington, and the pick swap you got in that trade drafted Leilani Nesbitt, I believe 10th overall, although I could be off by a spot or 2 there. And now she can't get a look. And you mentioned Ava Cook, healthy, center forward. Teams can't score goals. Can't get a look. I mean, is Mana Hayashi, is she just too small? I mean, but again, you look around the league, it's there's a long, roadmap of, if you're really good at the Division I women's college level, maybe it's going to take you a little bit to get up to speed. But if you can be excellent there, you can at least be serviceable in the NWSL. And she hasn't even gotten the opportunity to prove that she can do that. Again, Jenna Bike getting back fit, maybe that will help. Natalia Kuika, maybe back fit eventually. We don't really know. But again, that's been a blow as well. I think it's one of those things that when you fire a coach, I think the question has to be, what's the point? Why did you fire the coach? And I think the consensus at this point seems to be, you fired the coach because that was the only thing you could do. Because of course it's his assistants who are still here. And nothing's changed. It's you would expect, the whole premise of, the new manager bounce in soccer is kind of built on the idea that you'll fire a manager, a new personality will come in, bring a new set of eyes, and if nothing more than just kind of give everybody a kick in the butt, proverbially, try some stuff, change it up, and just get way back to basics. Again, I kind of was articulating it earlier, I'd love to see, a Maitane, Grosso, Groom midfield with Johnson on one wing, Joseph on the other, and Ludmila through the middle. It's maybe have Maitane stay deep in possession and get the fullbacks forward a bit. Again, it doesn't have to be rocket science here. It's just, and to see the first big thing they tried was Shea Groom as a wingback. It's that is so far down the list of like the things I would have tried. And so it's just, I don't know. It's just very frustrating to watch a team that, even if I don't think their ceiling is all that much higher than where they're at right now, yeah, it just feels like there are at least there's some freebies you can try. And if they don't work, fine, they don't work. But like, it just, the lack of trying new things that I think is maybe the biggest frustration right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely disheartening when you have a team in last place and the biggest thing you're seeing from them are these like tactical tweaks that aren't necessarily working. Like I asked Masaki Hami about Sam Staub like moving out wider at the end of during the game this week, and then also it was also in the Courage game, and like his response was that they were just kind of trying to get her upfield for these opportunities. And like, I understand trying new things, but getting Sam Staub, who's one of the best center backs in the league, I have no problem, no doubts saying. And your solution is to put her upfield to maybe make an impact offensively. Like that's maybe ninth or 10th on the list for me for things to try with this roster. So there are just so many things this season that are questionable and worth questioning. And it's just, it doesn't seem like any of that will be happening soon. And that is very, very unfortunate for a team that is rebuilding.
Yeah. And we talked about this a bit relative to Michaela Johnson. Emma Hayes was in attendance for this game. And
Mm-hmm.
the picture we saw was of her with Mal Swanson, which makes sense. But the conversations I am more interested in is, what did she say to Michaela Johnson? What did she say to Jamise Joseph, who did get called into U23 camp?
Mm-hmm.
What did she say to Sam Staub, who would have been, and I still think should have been, if for not some other circumstances, at the Olympics last year, and now is getting looked over for? I mean, I think everybody who watches the national team doesn't quite understand how Tara McKeown has somehow become like Emma Hayes' favorite center back, but that's a topic for another day. What are the conversations like? Because if you're Emma Hayes and you want Sam Staub to maybe be in the national team picture, it doesn't do you any good to have Sam Staub playing on this Stars team. And
that's kind of what I was looking at during the game. It was just like, oh man, Emma's here. We could be watching a Sam Staub defending masterclass, but she's
instead we're watching this. And I mean, again, I don't think the Stars will want to move anybody, but like, given the growth of the women's global football transfer market, if there's those three players we just mentioned, those Americans, Staub, Joseph, Johnson, there's got to be some people circling. I mean, because again, if you're looking at talented players who want to be playing international ball on a really, really bad team that doesn't seem to be going anywhere, again, Staub's one of these players. She's not getting any younger. If she wants to give the national team another run, again, she gave it a great run and then her Achilles exploded. So, then that was just really unfortunate. But again, like this, a rising tide lifts all boats and a lowering tide sinks them all. And so this is just not a good spot for anybody right now. And we just got to wait and see if maybe they can, button mash a bit and find something that works. A quick just rundown of the upcoming schedule. They're at Angel City on June 7th. That's their next game. Get this weekend off. Then they're home in the doubleheader with the Fire on the 14th. That's against the Seattle Reign. And then they're at Portland, home against Gotham, home against Bay FC, the one team they have beaten this season. I mean, it doesn't look easy because nothing looks easy when you're in the place the Stars are in. So again, I'm at the very least, hopefully we see them try some things. Hopefully we see some individual performances that are noteworthy. Hopefully we get more moments like Shea Groom scoring that goal that, amidst the general morass of this team in this season, that there could be something to point to and not feel like this is a 9-month exercise in just time killing.
Yeah, it's really tough to just go to these games and see it be another loss and then, go to the post match after. And it's the same questions of like, why why aren't the goals coming? What went well? What didn't go well? And yeah, it is just, I kind of stare into the abyss a bit every time I think about this, because I mean, if you're a fan of the Stars, like, this is an infuriating season. It has to be, after you have this rebuild that seems to start on a good plane. You make the playoffs, you run into the buzzsaw that's Orlando in the first round, and you come back for the second season of the rebuild and you get this. And there's no accountability. There's nothing right now. You have a GM who is living in his own world right now, feeling very good about the decisions that were made in the offseason. And it should be alarm bells, but it's just not.
Yeah, it's the call is coming from inside the house, and there's nobody going to pick up the phone. Well, Lesley, Ryder, you called it the abyss. We weren't staring into it, I suppose, but thank you for spending a little bit of time in it with me today. I hope you have a more positive rest of your Tuesday and your week, and really appreciate you coming back here on the CHGO Stars.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I needed this. I needed this, Ben. Thank you.
Let the show be nothing else if not soccer therapy. With that, that's going to be all for this episode of CHGO Stars. Thanks for watching on YouTube and listening wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Alex Campbell, and I'll see you next time.
We all silly like the mayor.